Okay, so my stance is that Britney is responsible for herself ultimately, and she has to pay the consequences for her actions. First of all, she's 27. She's not a child anymore. She's not 16 years old. She's past that sort of window where she can just get away with the youth card. She's had plenty of chances to pull out of the limelight if she wanted to. There are celebrities that have done the same thing. She's in the company of a lot of child actors that have done just fine, and I have a little list here of, I mean, obviously Christina Aguilera is the first person to compare, and she's becoming sort of almost this picture of poise next to Britney, which is strange in and of itself. But Jodie Foster, even Beyonce Knowles, Leonardo DiCaprio, even Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, when the one had the eating disorder thing, she dealt with it. She didn't flaunt herself. She just, she was dealing with her thing. Tiffany, Debbie Gibson, Raven Simone, the child actor, Miley Cyrus. I saw her talk. She was lovely. She handled her shit. Brooke Shields, Julia Stiles, Natalie Portman, etc. The Twinkie defense is basically what I feel like she's being given. I mean, if she has a mental illness, that might be the case, but as of right now, it sort of feels like, well, actually, it's gone pretty far at this point. But if it is in fact a mental illness, she's still responsible for her actions. There are plenty of mentally ill people who have made the choice to take care of themselves and their kids. It's not just her, it's her children. And just because you're mentally ill doesn't mean that you are allowed to do whatever you want with no consequences. And it's kind of almost offensive for people who actually are dealing with mental illness that want to get help, but but don't have the money. Here's a woman with loads of money, and she's not even bothering to really face her issues.
Well, I wanted to start out, first of all, by saying that I think that Britney is a victim. And to illustrate my point, I want to read to you just a few titles of her most popular songs from when she was 16 to 18 years old. And think about for a minute what you were like when you were 16 to 18. If you weren't a little bit nuts, then maybe you didn't have any hormones. Okay. Hit Me Baby One More Time. 15 years old when she recorded that. I did not know what that meant. Not Yet a Woman. Still a Girl or something. I still feel that way. Toxic. And the last one that I think is pretty poignant is Slave for You. And the reason that I think that is important is because when Britney was a little tiny child, she signed up to be a slave for all of us. She signed up to be our TV, our entertainment, our default whore, our default virgin. She signed up to be everything for everyone at all times, like a lot of women. I have a hard time standing up to a lot of the expectations that are, out there for women. I think that she probably could go through the same things. And I also wanted to just say that there's this idea in our culture, it's still dominant. You think that it's a Victorian era thing, but madness is supposed to be kept inside. We are supposed to be quiet. We are supposed to shut up. We are supposed to pass and act normal. And everything about us is supposed to look like the guy next door or the girl next door. And because she's in the public eye and she doesn't do that, we think that she's a victim, or that we think it's her fault. It's a hard argument to make. 5 seconds. Basically, I guess I already said everything I wanted to say. Boo.
Okay, Victorian or not, showing your punani to the world is just taking it a little bit too far. And I think that there are plenty of also mentally ill celebrities that have managed to deal with their stuff without making us have to look at that. It's and she's repeatedly almost dropping her children and not showing up for custody things. And I think she's just sort of crossed a line that I have a very hard time pitying, especially when women who are not celebrities go through this kind of stuff. And I don't think everyone would have this kind of pity for your average Jane Doe who's dealing with custody issues. You just say, oh, she's a deadbeat mom. But Britney, she's a victim. Yeah, I mean, Virginia Woolf wasn't showing us her stuff. And what else do I have here? Alanis Morissette, Abe Lincoln. That would have been interesting. He was mentally ill.
Oh.
He was depressed.
I didn't have anything to say about Abe Lincoln. Yeah, that's a good one. The idea of debate is to catch me off guard. It's like, Abe Lincoln, Britney Spears. Okay, so I have 1 minute to counter that. I don't understand the rules of debate. Basically what I want to say is that we're all debating whether or not she's crazy. And that's basically what it comes down to. Is she off her nut, or is she some genius that is just orchestrating this entire thing? And if so, I want to say to you, the other day I read a headline, and it said, was Britney raped? ? And I think about that, and I think about the mentality that has to go into perpetuating a headline like that. And if she is responsible, if she calls up Editor Joe and says, put this on the headline, I want everyone to know that I might have been raped, I think that she is mentally ill, and I do think she deserves our compassion, if not our pity. And that's Abe Lincoln.